Where do we go from here? Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, Tarina Malinado. Give it up for her. So, how are you doing first off today?
Hi, Lion. I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing so excellent. And first, thank you for that because I'm going to tell you, I've made a point, I would say years now, of doing this because I've noticed at one point that when people ask someone how they're doing, they're not usually genuinely asking. It's almost a conditioned thing. We've gotten so used to just saying it, hey, how's your day going? That we really don't care. So whenever someone asks me, I ask them back just because I want to show them I actually heard what you said and I'm paying attention. If you're uh, if you care about how I'm doing, I want to know how are you doing. So I sincerely appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
I feel like it's a small bit of kindness we can pay to so many people who ask. I mean, how many times does the grocery cashier say, "How are you doing?" and get no reply or a fine or like, let's brighten your day
Yes.
and ask how you're doing too. It sparks some great
Yes.
conversation sometimes.
Exactly. And I appreciate that. So I know because we've spoken before, you're a public speaker, you're a life coach, an author, so many things. How about you share with our listeners just a little bit about who you are from you?
Yeah. So, hi, everybody. It's great to be joining you today. My name's Tarina, and I am passionate about helping people to really feel comfortable and confident living the life that is most authentic for them. And a lot of times that can be difficult if you are in or leaving a toxic relationship or environment. And so I really resonate with people coming from that place as I'm a survivor of child abuse. I have survived sexual assault and leaving a high demand religion. And so I know what it's like to be in survival mode, to make a lot of choices based on expectations. And so I really love helping people be able to live from a space of no expectations except for the ones that you want to have for yourself.
Wow, that right there already just has me so juiced up and so ready to hear more because it took me a long time. I'm still learning, but to break what I call some of the societal norms, right? What has society taught me? And hearing you saying that you had to break some of these things and struggle through them, it means so much because someone out there is feeling the same way. Whatever said today could possibly help push someone in a direction who's probably saying, I'm not alone. Wow, someone had that. Do you mind kind of talking on one of those points of which you just spoke of the high religion portion of breaking away from that? Because I was in something similar, well, not similar to yours directly, because I haven't heard about it, but something that I feel might be along those lines. What's your experience in that?
Yeah. So my husband and I were both born and raised in the same religion, and we were very devout and faithful. And really, every one of our major life decisions was intertwined with the standards and expectations of the church. And a few years ago, we found some information, thank you, internet, that really opened our eyes to some really harmful things that are currently happening within the church, and then also the foundations and origins of the church that just made it very obvious that this is not the one true church from God, because this is too much harm happening here. And so we decided to walk away, which was a very terrifying decision because literally our entire foundation for our lives was based on the beliefs that we had been given. And so then it was kind of like you're starting over from scratch in our late 30s, trying to figure out, what do you want in life? And does this matter to me? And is this really something that I care about? Or is this just something that's been told to me? And so it really sparked a lot of self discovery and a lot of new tools and practices to help me feel comfortable and confident with who I am.
That is so touching because I believe that if we are shown something in our life. That fear can hold us back so much if we want to take that next step into your journey. And if someone out there is maybe going through something similar, even if it's not directly in the church, but they're feeling in a toxic relationship, they feel like, I just don't know how to step away. I don't know the fear of starting over, right? What are some ways to start that you can maybe tell someone the healing process? Where could some books or some ideas, maybe your story, you can share with them?
Yeah. So if anybody wants book recommendations, just send me a message or an email. I've got a whole list of books because I am an avid reader and I'm all about self improvement and self development. I would say the first thing to do, though, is to really start to get honest with yourself and let yourself ask those scary questions. It was absolutely terrifying to even think the question, could the church not be true? And so I had to be willing to ask that question and be willing to make those adjustments and those changes. And then I think the next step is to then really work on discovering who you are outside of this relationship, this environment, and really determine what is it that lights you up? What is it that you're passionate about? What are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses so you know where to get help and support? And then start falling in love with that person.
Hmm. That is the most profound thing that I've heard today. And something you mentioned, and it took me a long time to do. And I actually was speaking with someone recently, and they made a comment similar to that of being honest with yourself, right? And they said something in reference to look yourself in a dirty mirror. Because she said what starts to happen is we tell ourselves these untruths to ourselves. That mirror that we normally look in gets filled with all the bad emotional things. So as we start to look at the mirror, it becomes dirty and we see those things, right? So we have to wipe the mirror down and start to see our true selves and start to love ourselves. And I don't know, a test or a thing I started to do, and especially when I met my wife, and who's my wife now, but my girlfriend and fiance at the time, is I would always say, who do you love, right? And or even if you ask someone in general, they will list several people who they love, but it's rare that they ever say myself, right? I will list 8 people: my son, my daughter, my dog, my plants. We'll list a lot of things, but we rarely just say ourselves. So, do you find that when you started that process of finding yourself, start loving yourself, did you have to relearn like who you were and reinvent yourself in a sense?
I think there was a lot of relearning, but I think maybe a better way for me of phrasing that is just releasing things. So I've always been who I am, but a lot of pieces of myself were maybe having to be masked or not brought out or kept small because it didn't fit into the paradigm of the life I was supposed to be living. And so I had to release these beliefs about what's right, what's wrong, who I'm supposed to be, what I should be doing with my life. For example, um, I've always had this feeling that the experiences that I've had and the lessons that I've learned from them are meant for more than just me, that they're bigger than just myself. Yet I was raised in a religion where the most important thing, the only thing that matters as a woman for me to do is to be a wife and a mother. And there would be no success that would compensate for a failure in my home. Those were the messages I was given. And so, even though I'd stepped away, as I started on this entrepreneurial journey, there was a lot of inner tension and turmoil as I moved forward. And I had to sit with this for a minute. And I realized that the root of that was this incorrect belief that I couldn't have a good that my life couldn't have a positive impact if I was not present in my home with my kids, with them getting 100% of my time and attention. And so I had to work through and release these beliefs and really step into the fact that I can do good and I can help other people and I can still be an amazing mom and a supportive wife and really be an active part in my family while being an active person in the world to help bring about change and growth in other people as well.
Ah, man, that is such the truth because I believe that everyone has a purpose, right? But our purpose can be redefined, as you said. You have to go through that process for yourself. It's not just a one habit type of thing. You weren't just born to just only reprocreate and then keep that going. You deserve to have those other things, right? And I think, especially as time changes, we should. You don't have to change, and these are just my personal opinions, right? We don't have to change everything in all the way, but if technology grows, we can't just be stuck to say, you know what, I'm only going to read a newspaper in an actual newspaper when they stop making newspapers, for example, right? What else would you say attributes your growth into where you're at, and maybe also touch on some goals that you're reaching towards now?
So, something that's helped me to grow far more than I expected it to is to really gain an understanding of what self-care is and having a consistent daily self-care practice in my life. This has been a game changer for me to really be able to take time for myself, even if that time is only 5 minutes in the morning. Um, that really sets my day up for success and it helps me to feel energized. It helps me to feel grounded. It helps me to feel centered. And so, taking time to really take care of myself in a myriad of different ways helps me to be successful and to grow. And right now, my goals are really just to find the people who are looking for the support that I have to offer and be
Yeah.
able to help them.
Yeah, I see that. There was something on your website, and ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to her website, reach out for her, find her. If you're watching the live, you see where I'm placing up some of her social media handles. And when you're listening to this, this will be inside of the notes so you're able to go to her website. But what something that I saw on your website, and it says, I love supporting clients on their journeys to authenticity and empowerment, helping individuals and companies speak up the ideas that matters most to them through individually coaching, public speaking, and corporate. Um, so that to me means that you really enjoy trying to assist someone and seeing them grow. So if someone is looking to say, I feel like I'm in that position that I just heard you speak of today, my life seems rattled, and you just said, hey, I take 5 minutes. I ensure I take time for me, self-care, mental health. Is that such a big thing in your world, in your process of coaching or assisting someone when they come to you?
Absolutely. I tell people that I'm not here to tell you what to do. You've had people doing that your whole life. And I'm here to help you discover what you need to do yourself and to help you to figure that out. And I definitely encourage everybody to I help instruct people on what self-care really is because there's a little bit of misconception out there that it's spa days and it's massages and it's pedicures, and sure, those things can be acts of self-care, but sometimes for me, self-care is going outside, standing in the sunshine, and taking 5 minutes to take some deep breaths and get grounded, and that's the self-care. Um, and I do have on my website a free self-care and journal workbook that anybody can go get and download, and it's good. It helps you work through a week of journaling with journal prompts and some really good guidance on what self-care is and some suggestions and ideas.
Yes, that's so great. I just placed the website up there, but we will make sure that we put in the show notes for anyone who's listening and those who might not able to see it. It's uh, and then make sure I pronounce the last name
It's
correct. It is. Go ahead.
TarinaMaldonado.com. Yeah.
Okay, good. Got it. I was practicing it the whole weekend. I was like, I gotta say this correctly.
It's a little bit of a tongue twister.
So I appreciate that. And The things that you're saying, it resonates with me so much because to me, it's not a gender thing. We all need to learn sometimes, and we get in such a pattern that we don't know what to do. We don't know what we don't know. I love saying that because we didn't come with a manual. There wasn't a manual to teach me about love. My wife and I, we had to learn each other's habits and what we wanted, and we had to talk communication. Sometimes I used to always hear, for a small example, people say communication is key, right? I do believe that is very important, but to me, understanding is key because we can communicate all day. I can communicate to you maybe what some issues are and vice versa. But if I truly don't understand what you're saying, I'm just going to go right back to the same thing. Right. So I love learning keys of finding ways to improve my life, improve my relationship, whether it's with my wife, whether it's with my son, kids, whatever. My main goal is to improve and get better. What do you think is something that, what am I trying to say? What do you think is something that can be done in a quick way? I know this is a long process, right? But like you just said, go outside, stand in the sun. I love that. I would always do something called go to zero. My wife would be like, "What do you mean?" I need to go back to zero. My day is at 80. I'm moving left, right, up and down. I just need to reset, right? And for me, it's sometimes it's just going into a room, turning the lights off, decompressing from sound and all other things. Any other little tricks besides just going in the sun? Don't give away too much though, because they need to come and get that workbook.
Yes. So our breath is really powerful in connecting us to our bodies. And so if you're starting to feel dysregulated, breathing can help engage your parasympathetic system, which brings you down and calms you. And so, one thing that really helps to engage that parasympathetic nervous system is to make sure that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So, maybe you breathe into the count of four, hold for a count of three, breathe out for a count of six, just making sure your exhale is longer than your inhale. And that can help to really slow things down, get you reconnected into your body and grounded and out of a state of dysregulation.
Perfect. And even with that, I'm gonna tell you, the Navy SEALs tell you to do that too. That's one of their little things that they talk about. Breathing helps do a lot of stuff. And I tell my son that sometimes when his world is going left and right, he comes home from school, Dad, my work and school. I'm like, you're 8, kid. You got a while, right? But I tell him, just take a breath. That's all right. Whatever you're going through, we can work through it. But the first thing you got to do is just kind of relax, right? If you go at it with the dysregulated mindset of like, I got to do it quickly, we might even make more mistakes. So, is there something that we haven't touched on that you feel is important that you want to get out there to the listeners to make them just say, "Wow, I'm going to the website today. I'm going to go." See if she can assist me because I've got 12 projects going on and I need to learn some ways and learn a manual, see a manual of how I can adjust some of this. What have I missed?
So, along with the self discovery, self love, and self care, I really, in my coaching, help people to be comfortable and confident in setting boundaries, which really can be life changing for people when you feel comfortable doing that. And I do have this coming Wednesday, the 28th, a free intuition workshop where people can come and they can join in, and we're going to learn all about what your intuition is and how intuition speaks to you personally, because there's different ways in which people experience their intuition, and not any one person's is exactly the same, but there are a few different ways. And so you'll discover which one you hear personally. So you can sign up again through my website for that.
Oh, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, even if you're sitting at the edge and you're listening, someone, so this is my biggest supporter. We just had a comment. My wife, she listened to everything I put out. She said, I would love that link, right? I love that support factor. So we're going to make sure we include that link to what she was just speaking of so that you can make sure you go there. Make sure if you're sitting down, if you're driving, if you're listening to this podcast anywhere and you're hesitant to say, I just don't know, do it. The first step is just to do it. What is the harm that you're going to happen, right? You potentially get to learn something and say, I didn't know that was my intuition or something. This could be an eye opening event for you. So I highly suggest everyone get over there to that website, get the information, whatever social media handle, look up, Google Tarina Malinado. I got it right. Yes. Right. And I want to enjoy this. This has been such a beautiful thing for me. I enjoy sharing the company of positive minded people, goal setting people. It has motivated me because I never used to be that way. I honestly was a person sitting on the couch like, hey, it's going to come to me, opportunity gonna knock on my door. I just gotta open it up. But sometimes we have to jump in the water and swim to our ship, right? We have to go get it. So I appreciated this conversation with you today because it has made me want to go and do a little bit better. And I'm going to sit down and write some more goals. I love it. I love it. I love it.
I love that. It's so great.
I sincerely are. So hold on for me one moment. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here and I'm going to come back to you just so I can talk with you personally. Okay.
Oh, perfect. Thank you,
Thank you
Lion. It
so
was a
much.
pleasure.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning into another episode of Just One Question. We just had one last comment just came in before I said it. Chico de Costa Saucida. I hope I got it right. I gave it effort, though. Enjoying your talk here in North Las Vegas. So we appreciate that. There he goes again. So make sure you tune in to the next episode of Just One Question. We're working to bring you valuable information and inspirational information, educational information. We're driving up things and making sure that we're all here loving each other. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until next show, remember what I keep saying, live while you're alive.